Hey friends, Amanda here at Barebones Living. Welcome back to my apiary. And today I'm just going to be doing a little bit of maintenance to the bees. I'm not going to be messing with them that much. You can see that they're very active in the front of the hives, and that's why you always work from behind. But today what I'm planning on doing is I came out here I think 3 days ago now, and I had these extra empty medium boxes on top because I was feeding them, and I was using quart jars, so I needed 2 empty boxes. Now these 2 boxes, this bottom box is their deep box, and this is their brood box. Then I have 2 mediums above that. This first medium is full of frames. We added that probably now 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now. And May is a big time for pollination, things blooming, and them harvesting. So they were growing very quickly. And so 2 weeks ago, or 3 days ago, excuse me, I came out because I knew that they had made their way through all of the sugar water that was in here, and then we had some cruddy weather and it was rainy, so I didn't get out here to feed them anymore. 3 days ago I came in and took those feeders out. They have plenty coming in. I'm not feeding them anymore. And I took one of the empty mediums. This top medium is empty, and I had another medium empty on top of that to fit that quart jar. I took the top medium off easily. I took out the feeders, but I didn't have another set of frames that were ready for them to use. So I had to put wax on them and put the actual frames, oh ladybug, put these foundations into the frames. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is wax put on these foundations, and then these pop in and out of these frames. So I did that, and now today I'm going to take off this other medium empty frame. I could have taken it off that day, but it was actually stuck with propolis, that bee glue that I've told you about. And it wasn't coming off nicely, and I could have probably pounded it off or, been a little bit more aggressive, but I didn't want to jar the hive and anger the bees. So I just left it alone. So today I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to give them another full box of frames. And I'm doing this now because we're back to that ratio of they have had time to pull comb, draw comb on these empty frames. So even though I've added wax to this, these little pockets are not deep enough. They will build out additional wax. They'll take wax and they'll make the honeycomb that you're used to seeing, with deep pockets in it, to store more honey and more brood or more babies. So they have pulled comb or made the honeycomb on both sides of all of the frames that are in here, except for the outer 2. And so that's when you know it's time for a new box. So they're still working on making that honeycomb on those outer 2 frames, but they need room to expand. And we're approaching the time of year that is referred to as the dearth. And what that is it's a period of time basically in the dog days of summer, so like June and July, when nothing is blooming at that time. It's super hot and everything in spring has already bloomed, and so there is not pollen and nectar readily available for the bees, and they get really testy during that time. So I'm not going to be coming out and working with them during that time, because that's a higher probability of getting stung, because they're upset because they don't have food coming in quickly, easily, readily. They get a little testy. So I'm going to do that now. Today is May 31st. Tomorrow is June. It's not like a flick of a switch, but we're getting close to when pollen is not so readily available. So I want to do this now before they get really testy. And I thought I'd bring you guys along. So as I mentioned, they're very active right now. You want to come out to your hives earlier in the morning when all of your foragers are out, because that means that only half of the population of the colony is in the hive. Everybody else is out. You know, you have your foragers out collecting pollen and nectar, and you have half the bees to worry about. But again, I'm not going to be messing a lot with these guys today. I'm just going to be pulling this frame off and adding a new frame. And they are very ready for another frame. I'll bring you guys in here. This is pretty interesting. So you can see down in there, they are crawling up the edges because they need more space. Alright, so I'm just going to pop this off. And I'm going to add this new one on. And then again, I'm going to have to push these all together so that they don't have too much room, because if you have gaps in between your frames, they will build comb out to that much. Now this is my original colony, my first colony that I got, and they don't seem to be growing as quickly as the second colony. But they are still growing nicely. And I think that's because I messed with them more in the beginning, which can kind of mess with their orientation of things. So that might be my fault. So again, I'm just going to break that off. That was nice and easy. But at the same time, these bees seem to be a little happier, or nicer, I should say. But you can see down in there, you can see that white honeycomb, and it's built all the way out past the wood. That's how thick they've worked it. And they're on this outside one, I don't know if you can see that. They're still working on that one. So now's when I want to give them another box. Same with on this side. They're still working on pulling that comb or making that honeycomb. And you can see on the top here, these rings on the top, that's where those feeders are, and those black rings, that's the propolis, or that bee glue that I was talking about. Okay, so now both colonies have 3 boxes full of frames. This top one is brand new to them, and they were both very ready for it. This newer colony, like I said, is growing faster. They were much more bursting at the seams, basically. They seem a little bit more active. You can see more of them at the front of the hive, going in and out and patrolling. So this is definitely a more active hive, but this colony is still doing very well. I don't know if this is aggression or if they're just growing faster. But they do seem more agitated. I don't know if me working with these bees made them more docile or it just slowed down their progression. And me not handling these ones has made them not so used to me, or it just, I don't know. I'm just still going through all this. But now is the time of year also where if this wasn't my first year, I could be doing a harvest of honey at this point. But since this is my initiation year and the bees' building time, there is no honey that they can spare at this point. So while there is honey in here I could harvest, I would be harming these bees. What little honey they have, they're using most of what they bring in to build that comb to lay their brood in, or lay their eggs and their young in. And it takes a lot of energy and a lot of pollen and honey to make all that comb. But most people that have bees could be doing a harvest of honey at this point from the spring, the big spring bloom and all the pollen that those bees have brought in. But for now, I will relinquish that to them and let them just keep growing. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. I just thought it would be nice to show you guys. I don't know if you can see all that, but there is a lot of bee activity on the wildflowers in my yard. We purposefully don't mow all of this. 1, it takes forever. 2, it takes a ton of gas. And 3, all these wildflowers are great for the bees. know if you guys can hear all the buzzing too. But they are all over. It's quite the buzz. Thank you guys for stopping by today and joining in on our journey here at Bare Bones Living. We'll catch you on the next one.